So I'll be looking at camera.
Just see where it goes, they said.
And you just... So, what are you... Hey, this is... Yes, everyone wants to see you, but I'm part of this too.
Welcome to Mended Light. I'm Alicia Decker, CEO.
And I'm Jonathan Decker, Badge Bunny. Except for instead of cops, I go for CEOs. I follow them everywhere. I'm such a groupie. I'm a licensed therapist, co-founder of Mended Light, and today this is Therapists Say. Things that therapists have said that make you go, that might not be the best advice ever. What are we dealing with today?
You are giving the wrong signals, they said.
So I'm assuming this is in the context of someone talking to a therapist, and I'm attracting the wrong people romantically. I'm attracting people, not the people that I want. I'm getting all the wrong ones, right? And the therapist says, you're sending the wrong signals. It's a little blamey. Do you think that's true? Do you think it's on any one of us, like who we attract and bring into our lives?
Well, I don't think you can put like just a blanket rule down like that, right? Like if there's a dynamic where I like to wear very revealing clothing and I like to go to the bar on the weekends, right? And I drink heavily, and all the guys that I meet are just interested in having a sexual relationship, but aren't interested in a long-term relationship. Like maybe I'm not going to the right places,
right?
For the type of relationship I want. I'm not saying that's the wrong place to go.
No, but if I want to have casual sexual relationships, that's probably the course I should be taking.
Right.
Right?
And if I'm not looking for casual sexual relationships, where am I going to find those?
Right. Well, because you don't find trout in a pond that's full of salmon. Right? Like you got to go to the right pool. So this really comes down to, there's several aspects of this. One is the shaming culture of where we hold particularly women accountable for the thoughts and feelings of men, where women want to dress a certain way and everyone says, well, but you can't go out looking like, it's a typical mom thing. You can't go out looking like that. You look like a whore. Right?
Whoa.
I'm not saying it. Your mom is. And it's a double standard because you don't really get that with guys.
Right.
That shirt's too tight. They're going to think you're not the type of guy that you are.
So culturally, there can be dynamics where women are made to feel responsible for the actions and behaviors of men.
Right.
But there's never a dynamic where men are responsible for the actions and behaviors of women.
And that's unfortunate because the fact is we are all responsible for ourselves, right? And if we have this boys will be boys mentality, when we get really quickly into victim blaming, and now we're talking about sexual assault and stuff, but also just in dating. But it's a curious dynamic because when a woman keeps dating men that aren't good fit for her, we talk about, well, all the good men are taken, right? But sometimes we also blame the woman. And with men, it's the same thing. Well, actually, what is it with men?
What is it with men?
Yeah, do we say all the good women are taken, or you're not trying hard enough?
I have no idea.
But that speaks volumes because we always look to the women.
Right.
Right?
It's always the women's responsibility to do something different, to be different, to change.
Right. And so, which is interesting because on the one hand, men and women, we are responsible for the vibes that we're putting out.
Right.
The fact is, the way you're dressed today sends a completely different message than when we go country dancing and you're wearing your cowgirl hat and your Wranglers.
Right.
Right? Just the way I show up at the gym when I have my bed head and baggy basketball shorts compared to this where I've shaved for the day. And, we do, the way we show up sends out a specific message. I once heard of a woman who was a life coach, and she was known for being a really badass. Like she was really tough as nails and she would kick people's butts. And she got a reputation for being really, really tough on her clients. And she didn't want to be known as quote unquote a bitch, which is another gender label because tough men are.
That's the way they should be.
That's the way they should be.
They're
yeah.
leaders.
Yeah, you're a leader. If you're a man, you're a leader. If you're a woman, you're a bitch. And it's unfortunate, but she didn't want that label. So she's like, I'm going to dress in pastels and in pinks, and I'm going to show up and just to
soften
my appearance and to give the impression that you can trust me and that my intentions are warm and good, because they were. Completely backfired on her. Because people saw her and said, oh, here's someone who's nurturing. Here's a life coach who's nurturing and who's warm and affectionate. And so they signed up for her to be their life coach. And then they got a completely different experience. Whereas the people who wanted someone who would kick their butt didn't choose her because she didn't look the part.
Yeah.
right? And so while I don't think we are responsible for creating sensations in other people and or what they do with those feelings, like we're not responsible for other people. We are responsible for what signals are we putting out.
Right.
Right.
And an example of not putting out those mixed signals, or asking yourself, okay, is the result that I'm getting what I want? Like, is this working for me? Is
Right.
there something I need to do on my end differently?
Because there are people who don't want serious committed relationships for various reasons. They want casual relationships. And so dressing in a revealing fashion and going to bars a lot.
Like, if it's working for you.
Right, if it's working for you. But the original statement was you're sending out the wrong signals. And it's not just about dress.
And it's worthwhile to know, like, if you have a dynamic that's not working for you, right? And you've done the self-evaluation process first, like, is there things that I need to change on my end? It's worthwhile to note, like, not everybody is who they appear to be, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody's honest, not everybody's forthcoming, right? And so looking for that, I've had many experiences in my relationships where I'm very clear about what I want. Like the way I portray myself matches very well with what I want out of life.
Yeah.
And I've had experiences where a person portrays to be something they're not, because they're like, oh, you're what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But I'm not your match, so I'm going to pretend to be your match.
I'm gonna chameleon the situation.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And so I've learned some very hard lessons about making sure that behavior matches words, right?
Yeah.
Actions match what's being said. Because people can say a lot of things, but their behaviors and their actions, if you pay attention to them, will not line up. And
Yeah.
so to this person that was told, well, you're sending the wrong signals, that may be, that's worth looking at, right? Take that individual accountability, but also look for integrity in the other individual.
Yeah.
And look at a match between what's being said and what's actually being done. And if the behaviors don't match up, that would definitely be a red flag, or lots of red flags.
There's a line in the movie Rocky Balboa where the father's talking to his son, and he's talking about career, and he says, if you know what you're worth, go and get what you're worth. But that's also true in dating, that we may think I deserve someone great because I can be a great partner, and yet we keep attracting people who mistreat us. And to some extent, we get that because we accept it. On some level, we believe that's what we deserve. Otherwise, we wouldn't put up with it. And knowing what you're worth, knowing I can show up and be an amazing partner for somebody, and I would rather be alone for a while than be with someone who mistreats me or someone who doesn't show up for me the way I show up for them, is a powerful way to live your life. And it requires that you are willing to say no sometimes. It requires that you're willing to be alone sometimes. Because if you're being the type of person you want to attract, others aren't going to really be able to abide it. You know,
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to hang with the big dog, so to speak. While if I feel like in our case, I've had to elevate who I am to keep up with you. But that's been a really great thing for me personally on a personal level, because you inspire the best out of me. There's no faking, right? You know, you've always been a very strong person who knows what you're worth and what you will and won't tolerate. In your case, at least since I've known you, you've known what you're worth. And you've known what you will and won't tolerate, right? And how you deserve to be treated. And that is a case of, you know, if you're putting out the right signals, you're saying, this is how I'm going to show up for you. I need someone who can show up for me this way. Otherwise,
It's not a long-term fit.
yeah. Otherwise, we're just friends.
Aww.
I will say one of the most important things is being the type of person that you want to attract. I once had a person in my therapy office who says, my friends say I'm never going to get married because my standards are too high. And I'm like, well, what do you mean your standards? And he's like, well, I just have high expectations for the person that I'm with. And I said, well, tell me. And he says, tell you what, next time I'll bring you a list.
Ooh, a list. I love this.
So he brought me a list of everything that he's looking for. He's looking for someone who is physically fit and also enjoys video gaming and junk food. Somebody who is career-oriented and academic-oriented and also wants to be a homemaker and have a family. that he wants somebody who's kind and caring but can be tough when necessary. Someone who's a churchgoer but also highly sexual. Like he just went through all these things that he wanted.
Yeah.
And,
so does Mary Poppins play video games?
Right, it's Mary Poppins meets Wonder Woman was what he described.
Okay.
And I looked at him and I said, okay. And this is a guy who was failing school, didn't have a job, spent most of his time gaming, and wasn't in very good shape.
Okay.
And I took his list and I said, can I see that for a second? I said, this woman right here, what does her list look like? And he looked like I just hit him with ice water, which was funny that he'd never considered that. And I told him, if you want this woman, if she exists, you're going to have to be this person yourself.
Right.
And I said, so you've either got to change your standards to find someone who's more like you and accept and love each other, or you've got to up your game. And he kind of did both. The fact is, that woman, I don't think he could ever find her.
What?
But he did up his game. You're pretty close to Wonder Woman meets Mary Poppins, but you don't play video games. So, but you need to be the type of person that you want to attract,
Right.
and then not settle for less.
Right.
And the not settling for less thing is what's hard for a lot of people because they don't want to be alone. And so
Right.
they oftentimes like, well, I want somebody, this person will have me, so maybe I can
Right.
fix them up.
Yeah.
And that's not really going to work. People have to want to change themselves. It can't be imposed from outside.
If you've enjoyed this episode, and you have, check out our video. Just see where it goes, they said.
Let's just play it by ear. If you are needing assistance with your dating life, your love life, or just your mental health and wellness, schedule a free 15-minute consultation with a member of our team. Link is in the description. As always, like, subscribe, click the bell. If you don't click the bell, you don't get all the videos, you don't get notified. You're going to miss some things, and you don't want that. Just trust Aerosmith on this one. So until next time, keep shining. We need your light. I don't want to close my eyes. I don't want to fall asleep because I'd miss you. Oh, gosh. I needed some water before I tried Steven Tyler. Because even when I dream of you...